Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. We pour absolutely massive amounts of time, money, and energy into developing our people. But here's the crazy part. Without the right tools, the true impact of all that professional growth, it just remains a complete mystery. So today, we're going to decode that mystery. We're diving deep into the science of learning and development analytics. Let's get into it.
So, I gotta ask, is your training actually working? I know, it sounds like a deceptively simple question, right? But think about it. If your training goes unmeasured, it literally just becomes this massive black hole for your resources. I mean, imagine pouring thousands of dollars and countless hours into, say, a huge new leadership seminar, only to hear absolute crickets on the other side. Yeah, not great. Hope is not a strategy, folks. We actually need data.
Okay, let's dive into this. Learning and Development Analytics, or L&D Analytics, is essentially our flashlight in the dark. Sure, by definition, it's the systematic tracking and measurement of our learning programs. But honestly, it's so much more than that. It's the thing that moves us from operational guessing to strategic certainty. It shows us exactly, and I mean exactly, where our initiatives hit the nail on the head and where they fall completely flat.
Let's move along and see how this all builds together. The source material outlines 3 core metrics, and you can really think of them as a necessary logical journey. You can't just skip ahead and try to prove business value without mastering the basics first. We have to move step by step, from the simple action of someone finishing a course to the cognitive step of actually gaining a new skill, all the way to the final boss, the ultimate financial return.
So, step 1 is our baseline, training completion. Now, if completion rates are low, boom, we immediately have a diagnostic indicator. It tells us there's a bottleneck somewhere in the pipeline. Maybe the training is just way too long and bloated, or actually, scratch that. Maybe the platform's user experience is just terrible. Or it could be that employees simply don't have the protected time during their day to actually sit down and engage with the material. But look, if they aren't even finishing the course, the rest of the funnel just completely collapses.
But hold on, let's slow down for just a second here. Simply checking a box at the end of a module, that isn't learning. And that brings us to step 2, skill acquisition. This is where we have to move way beyond those basic smile sheets and subjective post-course surveys. We need to prove that the knowledge actually translated into real capability. Basically, we're asking, can the employee execute a task today that they couldn't do yesterday? We are looking for and verifying actual behavioral change.
Now, what's really interesting about this next step is that it brings us to the absolute pinnacle of our measurement journey. Step 3 is calculating the ROI, the return on investment, of these learning programs. This is where L&D takes on a highly authoritative, business-centric view. We have to strip away the fluff, look at the cold, hard financial reality, and basically speak the language of the CFO. If we spent 10 grand deploying a program, did we actually recoup that money through increased productivity, or maybe fewer errors, or faster output? This right here is the definitive proof of worth.
So, the crucial point is this. Understanding the how of tracking all these metrics is totally vital, for sure, but we really have to understand the why. Why are we doing this? Well, the ultimate purpose of tracking all this data is strategic alignment. We aren't just training people for the sake of it, or to hit some arbitrary quota. No, we are actively shaping our workforce's skills to meet the direct, ever-evolving demands of the organization itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates how L&D Analytics acts as a sort of invisible bridge. It connects 2 incredibly vital concepts, the actual capabilities of your people on one side and the operational requirements of the business on the other. Because think about it, without analytics, human capital and business targets kind of just drift apart over time. But analytics, it pulls them right back into lockstep. It ensures that literally every single hour spent learning feeds directly into what the business actually requires to succeed.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important thought for this explainer. Are your learning programs truly aligned with your organization's real needs? Because honestly, if you aren't using analytics to track completion, measure new skills, and calculate that ROI, you just cannot answer that question. You're flying blind. It is absolutely time to stop guessing, start measuring, and build that invisible bridge in your own organization.